Republican senators are in all-out revolt right now when Donald Trump just admitted he doesn't know how to stop them. Now, the passage of the War Powers Resolution, which seems imminent at this point, would be a tremendous blow to Donald Trump, and it is why he is panicking for several reasons. Obviously, the implication on his ability to expand his authoritarian regime through militarization in forever wars that are pointless outside of the fact that they help Donald Trump concentrate his power would be very much limited. But also, it would be another loss in a series of losses for Donald Trump that have him so furious, and that is what we are going to get into today. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like.
So is the argument that they want regime change that these cartels are working with Maduro? And that's why we blow them up?
That's sort of the argument, but I don't think the cartels and the drugs are really important. It's about regime change. But
if it's about regime change, why blow up the drug boat?
Because they need a drug predicate. They want to say this isn't war. It is kind of war, and we're going to take people as if it's war, but it's not really war. It was an arrest warrant. And they've actually persuaded some otherwise good people in my caucus to say, well, normally I would be against bombing another nation's capital and removing the leader. Oh, but he was indicted for the indictment. Most people don't know this. Part of the indictment is for drugs, but he's breaking a U.S. law. How do we indict foreigners in their country? They haven't broken law in our country for breaking a law. But other than drugs, they've also indicted Maduro for possessing or conspiring to possess machine guns. And it's like, what leader in the world doesn't have security guards with machine guns? We have machine guns.
Wait a minute. Did Maduro personally have illegal machine guns? And illegal how? Is it illegal internationally? Like, what does that mean?
It means absolutely nothing.
But that's crazy. That means
completely
how
insane.
many people in Texas have machine guns? You could legally have them here.
Of course, Donald Trump is just looking for a pretext in Venezuela. Donald Trump doesn't actually care about drug trafficking. He pardoned a drug trafficker. Oh, we don't even need to get into that argument, but Trump is looking for a couple of things right now. Any excuse for him to further militarize the United States. It's why he has a standing police force. And the
authoritarian Trump is trying to take over everything. We know this. And if you're all like me, you may want to sit down for this breaking story because you won't believe the grift he has pulled off right now. Breaking news, because he just tried to take over the U.S. Federal Reserve, pulling some goofy lawsuit with Jerome Powell so he can have an effect on the global central bank. But since that failed, he's now turned to the Middle East. And wait for it, it's coming in a few moments. And if you'd like to see him out of the White House, just subscribe to the channel. But let's realize Trump's typical playbook, because what he does in his life all the way through, plus his presidencies, is this. First, he does the denigration here.
The nation of Qatar, unfortunately, has historically been a funder of terrorism at a very high level.
And then he does the capitulation here.
We have a gentleman on my right who buys a lot of equipment from us, a lot of purchases in the United States. Those countries are stopping the funding of terrorism.
But in the background, there's always the encapsulation of the overview of the corruption. This.
Trump came away with a pledge from the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to invest nearly $1 trillion in the United States in deals benefiting large American companies, which is super amazing given that the entire GDP of Saudi Arabia is about $1.25 trillion. Qatar, having already promised to gift Trump a $400 million private jet, pledged billions to purchase U.S. weapons and Boeing jets, plus billions more in investment. Trump announced more than $200 billion worth of deals with the United Arab Emirates as well, and that was the publicly announced part. What went unannounced during these visits were the deepening financial ties between Trump's family business and the autocratic countries and their leaders. 4 Trump-branded projects are currently in development in Saudi Arabia, each of which have resulted in millions of dollars in licensing fees netted by the Trump Organization. The UAE's sovereign wealth fund used the Trump family's cryptocurrency exchange to make a $2 billion purchase. And let's not forget the plane that Qatar gifted the president.
And then, of course, Trump, when it comes to money, always finds his way back to the justification.
So I think it's a great gesture from Qatar. I appreciate it very much. I would never be one to turn down that kind of an offer. I mean, I could be a stupid person, say, no, we don't want a free, very expensive airplane. And I think it was a gesture because of the fact that we have helped all of those countries, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, and others. We keep them safe. If it wasn't for us, they probably wouldn't exist right now.
And then finally comes the adoration. This.
I just want to thank you for everything, and maybe in particular our friendship. It's been a very loyal, great, beautiful friendship.
But in this breaking story, what you ultimately have is the
And Verizon, we have a problem. There is a pretty big outage affecting people nationwide, including those trying to call 911. Joining us, MS Now reporter Ariel Hickson. So, Ariel, what's going on?
Well, Katie, Down Detector, which is a site that reports outages, noted that these outages started just before 12 p.m. Eastern from coast to coast, and users have taken to social media to complain about not being able to have any connection with their Verizon cell phone. So the issue here is, of course, that they are not able to make calls and that their phones are actually in SOS mode, meaning that they cannot connect to the network. Now, MS Now reached out to Verizon and received the following statement. Verizon also posted on X saying that they're continuing to address today's service interruptions and that their teams remain fully deployed and are focused on the issue. They also remain committed to resolving this as quickly as possible. Now, Verizon has over 146 million subscribers. It's the U.S.'s largest, phone company that so many users across.
Today, we will discuss how travel, safety, and decision-making are managed during periods of uncertainty. This conversation is not about any specific location, organization, or event. Instead, it focuses on general patterns that affect transportation, public communication, and personal planning when conditions change rapidly. In a connected world, travel depends on coordination across many systems. Airlines, airports, navigation services, and regulatory frameworks all work together to ensure smooth movement. When conditions shift unexpectedly, even temporarily, adjustments are often required to maintain safety and reliability. Let's begin by understanding why travel routes sometimes change. Transportation routes are planned with safety, efficiency, and reliability in mind. However, when certain areas become unavailable or uncertain, service providers may choose alternative paths. These adjustments are precautionary. They are designed to reduce risk, even if they result in longer travel times or delays. Rerouting is a common safety measure. When standard routes cannot be used, alternative pathways allow travel to continue while avoiding potential hazards. Although this may affect schedules, it reflects a commitment to protecting passengers and crew rather than prioritizing speed. In some cases, rerouting is not possible. When alternative options are limited, temporary suspension of services may occur. While inconvenient, these decisions are made to prevent greater disruption or risk later. Safety-first decision-making often involves choosing caution over continuity. Communication plays a critical role during these moments. Clear updates help travelers understand what is happening and why changes are being made. Effective communication explains the situation without causing unnecessary alarm. It provides context, outlines options, and sets expectations. When information is shared clearly, people are better able to adjust plans calmly. Uncertainty becomes more manageable when guidance is transparent and consistent. Even when details are limited, acknowledging the situation and explaining next steps helps maintain trust. Another important factor is flexibility. During uncertain conditions, flexibility becomes one of the most valuable assets for travelers. This includes allowing extra time, remaining open to alternative routes, and being prepared for schedule adjustments. Flexible planning reduces stress. When people anticipate possible changes, they are less likely to feel overwhelmed if adjustments occur. This mindset supports resilience and improves the overall travel experience, even under challenging conditions. Organizations also rely on adaptability. Transportation providers must coordinate across teams to assess conditions, update plans, and implement changes smoothly. This coordination requires clear internal communication and defined procedures. Prepared organizations tend to respond more effectively. Preparation includes having contingency plans, trained staff, and established communication channels. When these elements are in place, responses are more measured and less reactive. Another aspect to consider is decision-making under uncertainty. Decisions made during rapidly changing situations are often based on incomplete information. This is why precautionary measures are common. Acting early can preserve options and prevent more severe disruption later. Waiting for perfect clarity is rarely practical. Instead, decision-makers aim to balance available information with risk assessment. This balance helps guide actions that prioritize safety while allowing for adjustment as conditions evolve. Public commentary may also emerge during these periods. Different voices may express strong opinions about what should happen next. While these perspectives reflect concern or urgency, they do not always indicate final decisions. It is important to distinguish between commentary and confirmed action. Understanding this distinction helps prevent misinterpretation and unnecessary concern. Observing how decisions unfold over time provides a more accurate picture than focusing on individual statements. Another key concept is monitoring. Situations are rarely static. Conditions can improve, stabilize, or change further. Continuous monitoring allows organizations to update guidance as needed. This ongoing evaluation supports responsiveness. When new information becomes available, plans can be adjusted. Updates may include restoring routes, modifying schedules, or issuing revised guidance. For travelers, staying informed is essential. Relying on official updates and verified sources helps avoid confusion. Avoiding speculation and focusing on confirmed information supports better decision-making. It is also helpful to maintain perspective. While disruptions can feel significant in the moment, they are often temporary. Transportation systems are designed to adapt and recover. Over time, new routines emerge and stability returns. Emotional responses are natural during uncertainty. Delays, changes, and unclear timelines can create frustration or anxiety. Acknowledging these feelings while focusing on practical steps helps maintain calm. Simple actions can make a difference. Allowing extra time, keeping essential items accessible, and staying patient can reduce stress. Small adjustments contribute to a smoother experience even when plans change. Technology supports adaptation. Real-time updates, digital notifications, and flexible booking tools help travelers stay informed and responsive. These tools improve visibility and reduce uncertainty when used thoughtfully. However, information volume can be overwhelming. Choosing reliable sources and avoiding constant monitoring helps prevent fatigue. Checking updates at reasonable intervals supports balance. Coordination across systems is also critical. Transportation providers, service teams, and support staff work together to ensure that changes are implemented consistently. Coordination reduces confusion and supports smoother transitions. Consistency builds confidence. When guidance aligns across channels, people are more likely to trust updates